The lonely central Russian outpost of Togliatti is the venue for the 2019 FIM Ice Speedway World Team Championship, as the world's fastest men on ice head into battle to decide who is the top nation in the sport's equivalent of a World Cup contest. Host nation Russia have won the championship on all but 4 occasions in the competition's 40-year history. Will this year bring a surprise result for the first time since Sweden's triumph in 2002? There is a change to the format as the event celebrates its 40th birthday, with the number of competing nations rising again to 7. Each nation meets each other twice over the 42 heats 2-day marathon, but this year sees the new edition of a winner-takes-all grand final between the top 2 scoring nations. Kazakhstan field a team for the first time since 1997, looking to recapture their mid-90s golden era. Vladimir Chevlikov is the only surviving member of the trio that took a bronze medal in 95 and 96. I am very pleased that there is a Kazakhstan team competing again, and I would love to see some of the younger generation of riders come in and compete at this level. Finland finished bottom of the pile in 2018, with Matti Isoaho scoring all but 3 of the team's points. The return of Tommi Tani, the team's top scorer in 2017, should make them contenders again, at least for bronze. I may not be quite as fast this year so far as I was back a couple of years ago, but I hope this meeting is when I start to improve my form. The Czech Republic's rebuilding phase continues in 2019 after ranking 5th in the absence of Jan Klatovský last season. Missing their star man through injury once again, the Czechs are also without 2018 Shadrinsk star Lukas Hukla. Antonin Klatovský is in Sweden now, and I don't think he will ride again. And with Jan out injured, we have had to go with the top riders from the Czech Championship. Germany's top scorer for each of the last 7 years has been Günther Bauer, but the veteran is rested as he completes a recovery from injury. Stefan Pletschaka takes Bauer's place, with Max Niedermayer and Hans Weber retained from 2018. It's a little sad that we don't have Günther with us, but maybe it's a good opportunity for other riders to get some experience. Hans is in good form this year, and I will try hard to match him. Austria's 2017 silver medal winning trio is reunited for 2019 in the continued absence of Harald Simon, but they have lagged behind Sweden in recent years, and with Franz Zorn struggling through injury, the world number 2 position would be a real achievement. Almaty was not good because of my big crash which injured my left leg, and I was sad to miss Shadrinsk, but let's see how I get on here in Togliatti. Sweden's lineup is unchanged from the 2018 silver medal winning trio, with Martin Harra-Hiltunen able to ride despite a heavy fall in Shadrinsk. Ove Ledstrom and Niklas Svensson join him and will be optimistic of another podium appearance. I think it's important that we are the same team as last year because we know how each other ride and we will try to make a good fight of it. Defeated on just 4 occasions in the title's 40-year history, Russia always starts as the team to beat. Dmitry Koltakov, Dmitry Komitsevich and Daniil Ivanov went undefeated throughout the 2018 championship, and all 3 return. All of us in the Russian team will be out to get as many wins as possible and try for maximum points again, but we can't expect it to be easy. Could anyone topple the Russians was the question on the lips of most of the fairly vocal crowd as the racers rolled onto the ice for day 1 in perfect cold but clear conditions for Ice Speedway. The action began with a bang and some embarrassment for Germany in heat number 1. After slotting in behind Frankie Zorn at the start, Max Niedermayer clipped teammate Hans Weber and fell in the opening heat. Niedermayer was disqualified, and with Weber unable to ride in the rerun, replacement Stefan Pletschaka conceded a 5-1 to the Austrians. An all-Scandinavian clash in Heat 2 saw Sweden quickly stamp their authority. Martin Harra-Hiltunen was the man most likely to take the fight to the Russians, and he and Ove Ledstrom scored a 5-1 over a Finnish side who looked set to struggle. 12 months previous in Shadrinsk, the Russians did not drop a single point en route to their 36th World Team title, and this looked their intention again as they open with a dominant 5-1 over Kazakhstan from Daniil Ivanov and Dmitry Koltakov. The Czech Republic entered the fray in Heat 4, although lead rider Andrej Divis did not appear, and Germany were able to make up for their earlier problems with a 5-1. Niedermayer riding a much wider line than anyone else had done so far, en route to the win. Heat 5 started well but hit chaos. Austria's Charlie Ebner rode into Niklas Svensson on turn 1, and both riders were sent piling into the fence. Both men were soon up and okay, and in the rerun, the run of 5-1s continued, with Sweden defeating the Austrians. Heat 6 was stopped when Kazakhstan's Vladimir Cheblakov hit the fence on turn 4 and was disqualified, the restart seeing the first non-5-1 of the meeting, as Matti Isoaho led home a finish 4-2 to the approval of the crowd, as he worked hard to hold back Denis Slepukin, who was putting the pressure on all the way in the closing stages of the race. Just as in Heat 3, there was no stopping the Russian duo in Heat 7, Dmitry Komitsevich this time replacing Ivanov, and the pair racing away from the so far disappointing Czech duo who were looking favourites for last place already. Even by the end of the opening lap of this 7th race, there was clearly no catching the Russians. After the first round of heats, both Russia and Sweden were unbeaten on 10 points and would meet in Heat 13. Austria and Germany sat joint third after taking and receiving a 5-1 each among the largely processional opening few races. Max Niedermayer was improving all the time for Germany, but even he couldn't penetrate Sweden's defences in Heat 8, as Martin Harri-Hiltunen and Ove Ledstrom pulled away in the closing stages to keep the Swedes unbeaten and briefly into the overall lead after 3 rides. Charlie Ebner was certainly none the worse for his Heat 5 crash, and it showed in Heat 9 as he breezed past the quick-starting Matti Isoaho at the end of lap 1. Frankie Zorn led home Ebner for the pair's second 5-1 of the day. The two trailing nations met in Heat 10 with at least one guaranteed their first victory. The win went the way of Andrei Divis in his first ride of the meeting, but he had to work for it, with Cheblakov and Slepukin both chasing hard until the Kazakh veteran ran wide. Russia were angling for a hat-trick of 5-1s in Heat 11, but a rapid start from Max Niedermayer threatened to blemish their record. The Germans' advantage over Dmitry Komitsevich did not last long, however, and the Russian was soon into second behind Ivanov as the host nation's dominance continued. Austria kept up their pursuit of Russia and Sweden in Heat 12, Frankie Zorn taking his third victory out front, while in his wake Ebner was made to work for second place by Cheblakov. The first big moment arrived as the two unbeaten nations met in Heat 13. Martin Harri-Hiltunen was desperate to beat the Russians and he made the best getaway, but was soon passed by Daniel Ivanov. Half a lap later, Dmitry Koltakov also flew past the Swede, and Russia asserted their perennial dominance this event once again with yet another 5-1. Finland had a good chance to pull away into the midfield in Heat 14 against the Czech Republic, but the Czechs took an early lead through Andrei Divis. After a close 3-wide moment in the early stages, Matti Isoaho, a relatively unknown quantity on the individual World Championship stage, passed teammate Tommy Tani. He then hunted down Divis before making the move down the inside into turn 1 of the final lap for his second win of the day to give the Finns a 4-2 over the struggling Czechs, who were still likely candidates for last place. Russia remained unbeaten at the top after the second round of races, with Austria now joint second with Sweden, having only been beaten by the Swedes in Heat 5. Finland moved above Germany thanks to their Heat 14 success, and the form book was largely being followed. After falling to 5th place, Germany were eager to get back in the hunt, and Max Niedermayer once again used his favoured wide line to take a second victory in Heat 15. Behind him, teammate Stefan Plechaker started well but fell back, Vladimir Cheblakov passing the German and Denis Slepukin almost catching him on the finish line. Austria had only dropped points to Sweden up to this stage and now met their biggest test. Frankie Zorn drew on all his years of skill to chase the Russian pairing of Koltakov and Komitsevich, but they eventually pulled away in front yet again to keep up the host nation's unbeaten run. Both sides rested their top rider for Heat 17, with Divis again not appearing for the Czechs and Harri-Hiltunen replaced by Niklas Svensson for the Swedes. Svensson and Ove Ledstrom had the measure of the Czechs all the way for their fourth 5-1, keeping the Czechs in last place behind Kazakhstan. Germany would turn things around in the midfield battle in Heat 18 as Matti Isoaho contrived to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Having held off Hans Weber and Max Niedermayer all the way, the Finn made a mistake entering the final lap and Weber was through for victory. Niedermayer also snatching second on the line. Onlookers will be forgiven for thinking that Frankie Zorn was not riding with a leg injury at all given his form on day one. In Heat 19 he roared away from his opposition for win number 4. Austria's second place would not last long, however, as even with Harry Hiltunen rested once again, the Swedes were rampant again in Heat 20. Svensson led from tapes to flag, while at one stage it looked like Kazakhstan would split the Swedes after a small mistake from Ove Ledstrom, but he held on to follow his teammate home. With Finland tracking 2 riders who had yet to beat an opponent, the result of day one's final race was never in doubt. Ice Kings Daniel Ivanov and Dmitry Komitsevich made it 6-5 ones out of 6 for Russia on day one, celebrating with a spectacular double wheelie over the line. A quite perfect day from the Russian team, who must surely have felt they had one hand on the trophy already. At the end of the first day in Togliatti, the Russians led with a maximum score, 4 points ahead of Sweden, whose only defeat had come at the hands of the hosts. Austria held third on 22 points. The racing was amazing today. The ice was really good and we had a good strategy. We also had plenty of luck against the Germans. I missed one heat against the Swedes because of my injury, but I think we are now fairly safe in third place. Today was very good. The ice was the best we've ever seen it in Togliatti. Niklas was riding very well too, and we feel very strong. So I hope that continues tomorrow. Today we did our very best and scored all the points possible, but tomorrow will be even more difficult with the new system, so we need to get the same results again. I want to thank my team. My mechanics did a perfect job, and everyone in the team is doing their absolute best here in Togliatti. Day 2 dawned bright and fairly sunny in Togliatti, although the temperature remained down at -40. The ice was still in perfect condition after the first day's action, thanks to good work by the organisers, and after some slightly lacklustre racing at times on day 1, many were hoping for improvements. Russia again exuded confidence ahead of the second block of 21 races, with only Martin Harry Hiltunen and Franz Zorn for Sweden and Austria seemingly able to match them on pace. The atmosphere was one of excitement and anticipation as the crowd settled in for another day's racing and to find out if Russia could hang on to their title for yet another year. Russia opened the day against Finland and picked up precisely where they had left off on day 1, as Dmitry Komitsevich and Dmitry Koltakov charged clear of Finland, the Finns looking in danger of being overhauled in the standings by Kazakhstan. The Kazakh challenge, however, will be dealt a blow by Sweden in the very next heat. Martin Harry Hiltunen was again on top form, and he and Ove Ledstrom raced clear for a 5-1 over Vladimir Cheblakov. Andrei Divis was determined to pull the Czech Republic off the foot of the scoring table on day 2 and made a good start to split the Austrian pair in Heat 24. But Charlie Ebner fought back and before the end of lap 1 was through to second. There was a bad start to the day for Germany in Heat 25 as Hans Weber ran out of room trying to pass Matti Isuaho on the outside and crashed into the fence. The German was unhurt but disqualified from the rerun. Teammate Max Niedermayer took the win on the restarts. Sweden had not yet conceded a point to anyone but the Russians, so a 5-1 over the Czechs looked a formality in Heat 26. Harry Hiltunen was rested for this heat, but Niklas Svensson and Ove Ledstrom still finished well clear of the Czech pairing, and already many could sense who the 2 grand final nations would be. For perhaps the first time in the event, the Russians received a wake-up call in Heat 27 as Frankie Zorn took the lead from the start. But as he attempted to block an attack from Dmitry Komitsevich around the outside, Daniel Ivanov saw his chance and shot past both of them on the inside in one move. Komitsevich joined him at the front a short distance further on, and the Russians were still yet to drop a point. There was plenty of argy-bargy in Heat 28 as Kazakhstan tried to fight back. The German pair of Niedermayer and Plechaker came under fire from veteran Cheblakov, and despite their defensive efforts, he was able to pass Plechaker on lap 2. Teammate Denis Slepukin also got through to square the heat and bring the Kazakhs closer to Finland in 5th, leaving the Germans frustrated in their efforts to catch Austria in 3rd place. Russia and Sweden had now pulled 8 points clear of Austria in third place, and the hosts could confirm their grand final slot when they met the Swedes in the next round of races. Germany were doing their best to keep up with Austria for third, and Finland were best of the rest. It had been a miserable event for the understrength Czech Republic side so far in the championship, but a bright spot arrived in heat 29. Andrej Divis was back in the saddle and led all the way despite considerable pressure from Matti Isoaho, but the Finn's luck was out as his bike failed on the final lap. The big clash between Russia and Sweden in heat 30 served up one of the best races of the whole event, but there was bitter luck for Martin Harra-Hiltunen. He was denied victory in the first running of the race when teammate Svensson fell while at the back, just after Harra-Hiltunen had passed both Russians to take the lead. In the rerun, an angry Harra-Hiltunen had a quite superb battle for second place with Dmitry Koltakov. The pair swapped places repeatedly and made contact a couple of times in a good old-fashioned dust-up. But it was the Russian who would prevail on the final lap for second place behind Ivanov, after both Koltakov and his Swedish rival had almost fallen at different points of the race. A quite superb encounter which delighted the Russian fans as their side remained unbeaten yet again. Vladimir Cheblakov was last on a World Championship podium over 20 years ago, but his riding in Heat 31 made him look 20 years younger. He raced past Charlie Ebner on the opening lap to split the Austrian pair, and the surprise of many, almost caught Frankie Zorn at the finish line. Russia could book their place in the grand final in Heat 32 with a full round of heats to spare, but they suffered a poor first turn and Hans Weber went through into the lead. Koltakov made a move a lap later and the two almost clashed. The German yet again sent crashing into the fence. Fortunately, he was unhurt. The two basement nations clashed in Heat 33 and it was a close race early on. Cheblakov then tried to go round the outside of Jan Klaus but ran out of room, went into the fence and the race was stopped. The rerun saw Andrej Divis in spectacular form. First, he dove past Denis Slepukin on the inside, before moving past teammate Klaus for his second victory of the weekend after Klaus ran out wide towards the end of the race. This error also let Slepukin split the pair as the Czechs' difficult weekend in Russia continued, and they continued to run in last place in the standings overall as Kazakhstan tried again to catch Finland. Frankie Zorn continued his winning ways in Heat 34 and looked in with a chance of finishing as the meeting's highest individual scorer. Charlie Ebner meanwhile started brightly but lost second place to Matti Isoaho, who had been Finland's brightest rider throughout with several fine passing moves. Despite a few falls, Germany was still in with a chance of a podium place, but they needed at least 3 points against the Swedes in Heat 35. Hans Weber tried his hardest in typical style and was all over the back of Svensson and Ledstrom all the way, but he just could not find a way through, and the Germans were condemned to 4th place and out of the medal positions. The nations who would lift the medals were now known, with only the order to be decided. Russia remained on a maximum, 8 points ahead of Sweden, but Austria was still in with a chance of making the grand final, and they'd meet the Swedes in Heat 38. Final qualification may have already been assured for Russia, but they still needed at least 3 points from the penultimate qualifying heat to be assured of the top seeding. This proved not to be a problem against the Czech Republic in Heat 36. Just a couple of points separated the Finnish and Kazakh teams in the scrap for 5th overall, and in Heat 37 Vladimir Cheblakov continued his good form to hold off Matti Isoaho all the way and score his and Kazakhstan's first race win of the championship, but with Tommy Tani third just ahead of Denis Slepukin, Finland still held 5th place. Sweden needed to avoid conceding to Austria in Heat 38 to secure their passage to the grand final, and they did so with yet another 5-1. Heat 39 was important for both nations. Germany needed a 5-1 to secure 4th place overall, while the Czechs needed at least 2 points to move them above Kazakhstan, but in the event Germany led all the way. Kazakhstan could still snatch 5th away from Finland if they could get at least 3 points from Heat 40, but with Russia the opposition this was unlikely to say the least. Despite the resurgence of Cheblakov, the Kazakhs could not hold a candle to the title favourites, who raced to their 12th 5-1 of the meeting. Finland were now assured of 5th place overall after a slightly disappointing affair for the side other than some flashes of form from Isoaho, and they duly conceded another 5-1 to Sweden, who had still only been defeated by the Russians. Niklas Svensson took the race win this time. With the bronze medal now safe and secure, Austria elected to only send reserve Josef Kreutzberger out against Germany in the final qualifying heats. And while he was on Niedermayer's back wheel all the way, he could not get past, and Germany secured their fourth 5-1 and the 31st such result of the event. The marathon 42-heat qualifying event came to an end, and the countdown was now on among fans, officials and riders to the first ever team grand final. Russia, with a perfect score of 60 out of 60, progressed to the grand final alongside Sweden, while Austria took the bronze medal, mainly thanks to the brilliance of Frankie Zorn. Russia with top seeding and choice of gate positions then ahead of the grand final, the first ever team championship to be decided with a one-off winner-takes-all final. It is winner-takes-all, 8 points for a win, 5 for second, 2 for third, nothing for last. Gate 1 in the red helmet, it is Daniil Ivanov for Russia. Gate 2 in white, Martin Harra-Hiltunen. Dmitry Koltakov, Gate 3 in blue. Niklas Svensson, Gate 4 in yellow. Away they go for the grand final. It's Harra-Hiltunen who's got the whole shot. The Swede leads into the first turn. That's a surprise. He's got ahead of Koltakov in blue. Ivanov is in third place now. Can Harra-Hiltunen hang on in front? Koltakov going for the outside. They're side by side as they come round to complete the first lap. Harra-Hiltunen leads. Here comes Ivanov. The inside, he's gone past both of them. Ivanov into the lead on the inside, just as he did in the qualifying heat between these two nations on day one. Harra-Hiltunen in second place. You could almost throw a blanket over all three of them there. Svensson getting into the mix now as well. They're almost 4 wide. It's Ivanov who shows from Koltakov. Harra-Hiltunen's dropped back to third place. Russia, as it stands, is heading for a 37th title, but Harra-Hiltunen's not finished yet. What a terrific race for the 3 places. Koltakov on the outside. Ivanov covers the inside to hold back Harra-Hiltunen. They clash wheels as they go down the straight. What a terrific race in this grand final. Ivanov on the inside. Koltakov, the reigning world individual champion, on the outside there, holding back Harra-Hiltunen. The title now surely is heading to Russia. There is the checkered flag. Ivanov wins it. Koltakov second, Harra-Hiltunen third, Svensson at the back. What a terrific race in the first ever winner-takes-all grand final for a World Team Championship. A great start from Martin Harra-Hiltunen. He led for 1 lap, but he just could not hold back the mighty Russians. They go unbeaten for the 2nd year running in the FIM World Team Ice Speedway Championship. Congratulations, Russia, but well done to Sweden, to say the least. A brilliant race in the grand final. 8 points for winner Daniil Ivanov, and Dmitry Koltakov makes it 13 for Russia, but a wonderful effort all the way for Martin Harra-Hiltunen. The weekend was very good for us, and we had a good strategy, which is always an important thing to have. Today the end was difficult for us, but we are very happy with third place.
Das erste Mal 2 Heats nicht fahren zu müssen, weil wir so viele Punkte hatten.
It was a very hard meeting, but we felt very strong all the way through. And we all had great fun on the way to second place. It's great to win. We all did our very best after a difficult couple of races and a couple of slow starts. I want to congratulate my team on a brilliant job done here this weekend to become world champions once again with the best score possible. Russia take the World Championship for a 17th consecutive year without dropping a single point for the 2nd year running. Sweden came close but have to settle for second again, with Austria best of the rest. Congratulations then to Russia, world champions for the 37th time in the 41-year history of this prestigious event.